Paula Golden, President of the Broadcom Foundation.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is truly an honor to be here. 10 years ago, Jan, Ron Ottinger, who was then with Noise, now with STEM Next, and Gerald Solomon of the Samueli Foundation, I think we were sitting in a bar talking about what we ought to do to bring the nation together around STEM, which was a word that only meant something about biological research at the time. I'd like a show of hands of anyone that was there at that first convening. Are there, let's see. So interesting. There were about 100, I think there were 120, 130 of us. And now, many of those people have gone on to other things or were unable to be here. And all of you are the end product of that first cohort that Jan, Ron, Gerald, myself were privileged to inspire to come together in Washington, D.C. I thought I'd make a few remarks to you about those 10 years in a capsulized way, past, present, and future. 10 years ago, President Obama sat in the White House, and STEM was that biological research acronym. Today, actually it became an acronym, I should say. At the time, it was just a term. And our focus was on the infrastructure of creating this organization around a fundamental concept that children need to be at the center 24/7 of STEM education throughout their community, whether in the private, public, classroom, out of school, after school spaces, in the home, and ultimately in the workplace. And that child-centered philosophy, I remember Jan explaining this to me and being absolutely amazed with the notion that we didn't need to think about education from a linear perspective. And I'm so grateful to Jan for her incredible genius and vision and just being my bestie. Can we give her a round of hand? Give her a round of applause. Yeah, give her a hand. That was a huge lift to build an infrastructure. But all of you, like I say, are the end product of that. You now understand seamlessly in well over 110, 120? 120 ecosystems around the United States and the world, that you're part of an ecosystem. You interface with those subsets in your community who are equally committed to that child-centered philosophy around STEM. And over the years, you've been able to focus on building those coalitions. Now, as time has gone on, we've evolved, we've grown, and we've started to provide thought leadership at every level. The power of collective thinking has really taken root over this decade. 2 5-year plans of our federal government were designed in large part by the energy and genius of the STEM ecosystems. That is an extraordinary thing. The impact of this group over 10 years to be a national player is something that we all need to be proud of, mindful of, and quite frankly, continue to take advantage of in what are very difficult times. Today, we champion STEM, digital literacy, and we're all tackling the daunting challenge of responsible AI in the classroom and in every walk of life. How do we bring this new, incredible technology into our STEM ecosystem? I'm going to take a quick aside from my notes to say, yesterday at a meeting we had with a wonderful group of brilliant people about AI and about a project we're going to do in Detroit, I made some notes on the side of my paper and I said, Gutenberg Bible, and then I said, Encyclopedia Britannica, and then I said, Internet, and then I said, AI. And I just started thinking, what do those things have in common? They are the revolution of bringing information to a larger and larger and larger constituency of human beings to fill our minds with the wonder of knowledge. And I guess my point of this, as a quick aside, is let's not be afraid of AI. Let's just see it as the next big revolution in information gathering and dissemination. It's something Broadcom knows a lot about because our company is actually the chip provider for many of the large language data centers that are going up around the nation and the world. And so I heard our founder, Henry Samueli, speak to this and basically say, see it as a creative tool. Human beings are creative. We'll figure this out. We'll make use of it. It will not be the end of the world or end of jobs or anything else if we put our minds to what it can be as a source of knowledge, of all the knowledge in history, good and bad, true and false. I understand that there's a lot of critical thinking we want to impart to our kids to understand the value of this new magical access. But nonetheless, let's see it as an opportunity and not necessarily as a detriment to education. So what a difference a decade makes. We've got unprecedented challenges to our education and way of life right now. And I am going to just address the elephant in the living room for a few minutes to say funding and policy decisions have destroyed much of the fabric of education and threatens scientific inquiry, both of which are at the hallmark of what we do as people engaged in convening and putting together these ecosystems. What do? It's scary, I think, for everyone here, particularly those of you who are educators, who came into this work as service-oriented people. This is overwhelming, scary, unprecedented, and it's easy for us to fall prey to that. But I want to say to you that we must do what we did, excuse me, we must do what we did 4 years ago, gang. Let's go to ground. Let's worry about our states. Let's worry about our communities. Let's worry about every child within our sphere of influence and not lose sight of the fact that what we bring is a creative juice to the nation. We've done it for 10 years. We will continue to do it. And our work with state and municipal leaders right now could not be more critical. I urge you to look for fresh collaborations and funding relationships with other nonprofits to get through a very difficult financial time, to see your local advocates as people who, like you, have the courage to continue on. And most importantly, support local and district candidates who share your values. We all know that we have primaries and a midterm election next year, and we can and should be heard on the issues of STEM, digital literacy, and quite frankly, responsible AI. It's not good enough to say that the government's interested in AI. There's a lot of money in that. And quite frankly, what we all have to do is put our minds to what does this mean to the education and well-being of children, family, and community. And we can be the thought leaders that influence the decisions made by the next elective body. And I urge you not to see it as political, but really standing up for the values that brings you to a convening like this and participating in an event where you know that what you stand for is right and the truth is honorable and it needs to be imparted to young people everywhere. Don't be intimidated into silence. People need to know that you are providing services and information to their children. And remember what Roosevelt said at his first inaugural address during the Great Depression. The only thing you have to fear is fear itself. That nameless, unreasoning, unjustified terror that paralyzes needed efforts to convert to retreat rather than advancement. Continue on, and let's talk just for a minute about the future. There is only one objective. It is our children. They are here with us. They must be led through this difficult time. They must be educated through this difficult time and come out the other end as responsible, critically thinking, science-minded, math-minded citizens of the world. If we are to provide them with the tools and ultimately the ability to create a sustainable planet. So I believe I believe that the education work we do is critical, and this organization has the potential to go for another 10 years with an even brighter future if we stay calm and carry on. That we all take time to invest in our local governments, in our state governments, and ultimately vote in every election possible and encourage our family, friends, and communities to do the same on the issues that matter to us. Lastly, I want to impart to you the wisdom of that crotchety old Prime Minister, Winston Churchill, who led his country through the dark days of totalitarianism forces that sought to overcome his great nation and the world. Our dear Winston said, "Success is not final, failure is not fatal, it is the courage to continue that counts." Second, he said, if you're going through hell, keep going. And lastly, he said, never, 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 never give up. Thanks for your time and have a great convening.